Hello there folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome to part 16 of the Formula 1 2012 Lotus career mode. Today we go to the Korean International Circuit, a circuit that, I think if I'm correct, was 2012 the last running of this race? I can't quite remember, but the first race of the Korean Grand Prix was in 2010. The Korean Grand Prix ran for a few years. It definitely was 2013 if it was the last race, because it certainly didn't run in 2014. And for a Formula off track, that's definitely a short-lived life cycle on the calendar. But nonetheless, I really like Korea, and it would be brilliant to race this circuit for the first time in a hell of a long time. I think it was actually 2013 that it was the last race here. I seem to remember that for some odd reason, but I might be wrong there. I haven't done my research, admittedly, but nonetheless, it's a brilliant track. 14 laps will be the amount on Sunday. It's a 3.5 mile circuit, and of course we want to try and replicate the results we've had in the last few races. Now, Japan was a bit of an interesting one. We got up to 4th on the start from 10th place, but then started to drop down the field. It feels a little bit like horse racing. I've been watching a lot of that recently, and it seems that we have a good start, and then it just falls into the pack. And I think we still got points. We still finished 7th or 8th, but not as good as we would have hoped. And then in Singapore, go back and watch that race. I don't want to tell you what happened, just go back and watch that race. Without any further ado, let's go for qualifying in the 16th round of the championship at the Korean Grand Prix, the Korean International Circuit. I mentioned this earlier, but it has been an awful long time since I raced around this Korean International Circuit. So it's going to take a few laps to get adjusted, and I feel our success in this weekend, and equally next weekend at the India Circuit as well, which is a circuit I haven't raced on for a long while. The success of our race weekends there are going to be massively down to how quickly we can adjust to the circuit. If we don't adjust very quickly, we might well be way down on where we're expected to be, which is 8th place in the qualifying this weekend, which might be a little bit high. It depends how our car runs around here. I do remember in this year that, and the year after, that Lotus did quite well here, but of course that doesn't usually carry over to game performance. That's been proven by the bonkers results we've had so far this year. But enough whittering on. That's not probably the best line to take, but goodness me, I remember this section, fantastic. But I'm just going to get on with it now. I think I'm going to try and set a few decent laps and see how that sets us in terms of the standings, and whether we need to go out again and set another time. But I think on the option tyres, the pace of the car to just pull us through, and after probably we'll get 3 laps out of this fuel load, so I think that should be adequate to get us through to the next session. Well, amazingly, it's not took very long to adjust the circuit at all. I feel like because possibly we have got a little bit of pressure, that we don't know the circuit, we might not get through, that we are just pushing that little bit harder. And the first lap we did was good enough to go top of the session for now, and we increased that by 9/10 just to go a little bit further above, and it seems like our pace is more than good enough here. We're really ragging it round the corners. It's a circuit that I've always loved, and that's been reinforced by the lap times we're doing here, and how we're pushing the car to get the maximum out of it. But we're doing really well. If we can improve again in this sector, how's this sector going to look? To be fair, our last one was very good, and we've improved by a 10th again. So we've only got the fuel for one more lap. We're not going to use these tyres again, so we might as well just try and get a maximum lap time just to see where we are in terms of the delta for Q3 if we can get there. But experience is certainly very worthy in these sorts of tracks where we haven't raced for a while, so I'm going to get on with it in the end of the day. I'm going to do a few laps, and this is going to be the last of them, of course, and just see how we get on. But at the moment, we are doing awfully well. No issues involved in squeezing through there then. Blimey, that was a really good lap the second time round. We didn't actually improve the third time round, but that's got us through in 2nd place, and that lap could have even been improved. The theoretical best in the session was a 1:39.9 based off the fact our first sector was 3/10 slower than Alonso. I think we were 4/10 quicker than anybody in the second sector, but then lost 2/10 again in the last sector. So a theoretical best lap could be a lot better than it has been. So I think improvement to be made in Q2, but Q1, well, couldn't have really gone much better for us. It's the one flying lap strategy for this session we've gone for. We're just going to try and do one lap, which we are coming to the end of now. Try and get through on that lap and put all of our resources into Q3. Of course, we are expected to qualify at least in 10th place, hence why it does say 10th place there. But what was our personal best before? It was a 1:40.6, I think, and that is a 1:40.3. Not a perfect lap once again, but not been beaten by Jensen Button, so it seems that we should really get into the top 10. It's been beaten by Vettel by 7,000th of a second, but unless the track improves drastically, we should be through to Q3. And although, as I said, it wasn't the perfect lap, there's definitely room for improvement going into Q3. But that strategy seems to have worked, so good stuff. But it seems to be getting a bit cloudy. Is that rain? It's like light rain. I don't know if it's my screen. I think it is. I think there's light rain. Unless that's my screen or my eyes playing tricks. No, probably not then. It seemed like there was rain. I don't know. But we'll soon find out, I suppose. Oh, no, it is, I would say. Like, very fine rain. I'm not sure. But we'll see in Q3 anyway how these things turn out. And if we do get some rain, that would certainly make things interesting. Or it might just be me on the track that can see this rain. But I've got absolutely no idea. My eyes could be deceiving me, or they might not be. But it seems like it is. Yes, it is. It's definitely raining. I wasn't wrong. And, well, Felipe Massa with the fastest lap. But we could see, if this develops quite quickly, some shock casualties. But I'll shut up and see how everything turns out. I wasn't wrong about the rain. As you can see, the track very much covered in rain. And that might well be what the shootout looks like for Q3. So that'll be really exciting. But the casualties of Q2 are the Williams drivers of Maldonado and Senna. Kimi with a really poor quali, 8 tenths off us. But we've been setting maybe a good precedent today. So he might be out driving the car just a bit. Both Saubers gone, that's crucial for us as well. The remaining Toro Rosso and the Force India of Hulkenberg goes out with De Resta getting through, and very close there between Rosberg, De Resta, Perez and Hulkenberg. But it seems that the Red Bull drivers that, and particularly Sebastian Vettel, in fact sets a 2-tenth gap to the rest of the field, and he's the man to beat going into a potentially wet Q3. This could be exciting. Stay tuned. Well, it says it's sunny there. I don't think it is. There's rain. It's definitely rain in the pit lane. There are drops. Now, what are the tyres that are going to be recommended? Wet. Wow. Well, I'll be honest. Our setup really isn't going to be optimised for wet tyres. I'm going to put a little bit more fuel in. Just so we can set the lap if we need to. And set a few more laps than required. It might be a little bit much fuel. But if this improves like it is. Rather, if it's... doesn't improve, if it declines the weather conditions here like they are already, it might be worth having a bit of fuel just to make the car a bit more stable. But nobody else on laps yet. We're going to be the first one going round, so I might as well show you my fine lap in Q3. But oh my god, there is no grip at all. Well, let's get the curves out. Let's try and make as most of this lap as we can, and this might well be our first and last chance of making a pole position time at the Korean International Circuit. So into turn 1, definitely a lot more conservative than in the dry, and really struggling to get the power on out of that corner, and already within 12 seconds of the lap using half-far curves to push us through to the first few corners. And of course, another thing that will be massively hurt by the rain is the real dent in straight line speed. You'll be going at least 200 mile an hour coming up to that top straight, but alas, it's about 190. That's really not the speed off now. Of course, acceleration's also going to be affected in the wet, but the other guys are in quite a huddle together, so that will definitely decrease the amount of time that they will have. But just shown by the conditions, we are already 4 seconds down in Sector 1, so these times really aren't going to be comparable to what was set in the first session, and it looks like these conditions are definitely worsening. So we've done well here to get out early. We usually make the mistake of going out too late, but I'm going to cut to the end of the lap and see how we get on. Well, this, technically speaking, is our bank lap, but this could be our fastest lap of the session, quite feasibly, as these conditions look to get worse. But I'm going to stay out there, set as many laps as possible, and see if there's any improvement in the conditions. But our bank lap, which I don't know why I said A, but A might well be to prove our fastest lap of the session, and B might well be the fastest lap of the session. Let's see what everyone else got to offer, though, after that lap. And Webber sets a better time. It seems we have been beaten by the masses. Look at that. Well, everyone else beating our time. What is the time difference to everyone else? Well, it doesn't say. Whoa! 4 seconds! Get off. Is that because of the fuel we've got in the car, do you think? Have we made a mistake with how much fuel we've put in? Well, the only real thing we can do to improve that is to just keep driving and chugging away at the fuel. I mean, look at how far we're down in just Sector 1. And we're 2 tenths down in our previous effort, and as these conditions get worse, it looks like we might have made the wrong decision by putting fuel in. You know, the initial reason for putting fuel is to add a bit of weight to the car, so the car's not so bouncy around the track. But we've only got 5 minutes left, so we're going to have to set this lap, get in the pits quickly, and potentially get rid of some fuel. And whoa, this lap is really not going well, so this lap will be the one that we go into the pits for. But yeah, let's get into the pits, get out there with low fuel, and see what we can do. If the weather conditions don't improve, though, we do qualify in 10th. There's not much time left, only real time left for one flying lap. And when they say, well, you've got a bit to improve to pole position, a 5-second delta technically isn't really what you should expect. But this will definitely tell whether the fuel, or whether the car, or whether whatever, that's not the best start to our lap. These conditions might just be getting worse. So, I mean, look at this. We're just spinning round this corner, and the conditions might just be too bad to set a lap. But we'll find out anyway through this lap how the conditions are, and how our Sector 1 in particular will be. Well, I said rain had been interesting for development. It really hasn't been good for us. Really has not been good. We're a second down on our own time in the first sector, never mind anybody else's. And it seems that this setup, the car, whatever, just must be very much apt for the dry and nothing else. Because this car is not handling the way I want it to. Okay, it's wet conditions, I understand that. But how everyone else can get 5 more seconds out of this is criminal, to be quite honest. And it seems that rain, which usually benefits us and certainly did in the Singapore Grand Prix, really hasn't here. And although it might improve our personal best, it's not going to put us anywhere further up the grid, I don't think. So that's a real disappointment, and we'll be on a real setback here. But our pace is good, that's a positive. But if it's a wet race tomorrow, we could really be struggling. And yeah, again, we're only 3 tenths down in that sector, to be fair. We didn't improve, though, all the same. And unless we improve by 5 seconds in this section, I think we'd need a rocket to do that. So I doubt that's going to happen. And very peculiarly, after 2 solid first sessions, we are absolutely nowhere in Q3. And we've just run way wide there, chipped our front wing. And we're going to come across the line, and we are absolutely way off. Sebastian Vettel gets pole. It's a Red Bull 1-2. Button in third. The 2 Ferraris, the McLaren of Hamilton. We are actually the lowest Britain on the grid. That's not been the case for a while. But the rest is in 7th, and then it's the 2 Mercedes cars. Let's see if we've got a dry race, which will be a lot better for us tomorrow, I'm guessing, than a wet race. Thank goodness for that. It's dry. Whew. Thank God for that. We're starting P10 on the grid today in a place where it's possibly a little bit too low down for us, but our race pace might not be that good, but based on our quali pace, we are very strong around here, so definitely an opportunity to take, and that will, of course, start with the first lap of this Grand Prix, and that is underway now, and we're into 2nd gear, into 3rd at the start. A little bit of a tight first corner here to get round, so if we can pick off any drivers here, that'd be fantastic. Rosberg, oh no, Schumacher, sorry, cutting the corner, it seems, there at turn 1, but Schumacher compromise going to 2, so we've got past both the Mercedes drivers on the start, but this is a huge straight. We're not really making any gains to any of the drivers, which is a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, none of those behind are really making any gains either, so we're going to try and get it up the inside of Di Resta. There's from a long way back, so we're not going to really be able to make it stick. Alonso just cutting the corner there, and that really compromised Di Resta on the exit, and also, of course, compromised Alonso himself. Really close to Di Resta here. We don't want to cut him off, so unfortunately we're going to have to take the outside line, but Alonso brakes so early we could have potentially gone into Paul Di Resta there. But we've gained 4 places on the start. Really well done, particularly gaining a position on Alonso, and for the first time in not many times this year, first time in a while, we had a bit of a wobble there. First time in a while, and I think probably the first time this season, Felipe Massa is ahead of his teammate at Ferrari. But Sebastian Vettel, I'm sure he started quite a way up the grid. I think he might have even been on pole. Goodness knows what happened to him at the start. But it is, I think, another McLaren. It looks like the McLaren and Jensen Button leading this race. And it's all a case now of whether we can catch him. Because I seriously think we've got good pace round here. And I don't know what happened in the wet. But we want to make sure we avenge that. And get a bit of revenge for what happened in qualifying in the race today. Oh! Hamilton's in the wall! What on earth happened there? Lewis Hamilton's just put himself in the wall. Coming out of that corner, well, we can't go back in the footage now, but goodness knows what happened there. Just coming around the corner, very close to where we had just cut off, if you like. And Lewis Hamilton just put himself in the wall. Goodness knows whether he misjudged that or not, but looks like he's still in the race. But what a very, very weird accident there. But nonetheless, we've gained a place. Could have lost it again to Alonso, but not really fighting much coming into turn 1. But Massa and Vettel, look at how much Massa is defending, how clogged up the inside line he is. But Vettel's going to try and go around the outside. Massa really defending it, but he can't defend from the German in the end. And we might be coming after him now, but that's not the way to exit turn 3. That really is not the way to exit that corner. It might be, is it turn 4 actually? You could argue it. No, it is turn 3, yeah, that would make sense. But in other news, Fernando Alonso's just tried to cut the inside. We've hit his back tyre, but we are going side by side through here. We're going to just try and keep our position. He's staying with it, but we've gained it back in the end. And at the end, of that little debacle, we are in a Ferrari sandwich. This makes things very interesting. Of course, could be in a Ferrari next year, but I doubt that because when we move to F1 2013, we can't pick Ferrari at the start, unfortunately. So we will be staying with Lotus if that is the option. But just for the humour of this race, I think that is a very humorous thing that we're in at the moment in the Ferrari sandwich. But I'm a bit reluctant to cut out at the point we did last lap because, well, it all got dramatic about 2 corners from now. It looks like Hamilton has gone out because there is a driver out. I will check who that is if that's not Lewis. But if Lewis has gone out, that's crucial for the championship. Indeed, it is Lewis Hamilton who has finally retired from the race. Whether he just stuck in the wall or managed to reverse it out and succumb to the damages he got, I'm not sure. But that is huge for the championship battle. And again, another twist, another turn in the F1 2012 championship battle. Here comes Alonso. We can't even stop him. We can't stop him. I'm going to try and use the curves at this point, actually. But Alonso has gone up the road. He really has. He's trying to defend here. We don't really want to go out there. Just tap the back of him. But we knew we wouldn't lose any damage there. So that's why we went for that little bit of a low-risk approach. Coming into that corner rather than having to go wide. Ever using Alonso's car as an effective brake. He's managed to get past us again. But we're going to get the real good braking distance on him. Real good closing distance. And we're going to run side by side. I think he's going to win the battle of this time. As he just covers the majority of the road, or as much of the road as he can. And Alonso now takes P5 from us. But we've gained 4th position since the start, so that's a pretty good start from us, to be honest. And although I was saying about P1 earlier on in the race, it looks like those guys have gone. And we probably haven't got the pace, so let's focus the race on where we are now and getting back past Fernando Alonso. I have to say, I've been quite pleased with my progress since the last few laps. We kind of stagnated really in a few laps after our cutaway. We were kind of 1.8 seconds away from Alonso, about 3 seconds up the road from Schumacher, so kind of a running our own race. But in the last few laps, laps 4 and laps 5, we've improved our delta by at least half a second on both laps. And managed to get within 1.5 seconds of Alonso. So we're not actually just matching the times of Alonso, but we are beating those, if only by just, because we're not gaining by a massive amount. But it seems that the top group of drivers are getting close together, which means that we have got a chance here coming into this pit window where things can get awfully messy, particularly as we've got the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Red Bulls, and their pit strategies, at least of one driver, might be a bit compromised here by the undercut of the other driver. So this could be an interesting thing to see how it plays out. Of course, that McLaren might leave it until the next lap to pit as well. It's completely his own choice, but he'd probably pit this lap as well of Jenson Button. That is the McLaren. But it seems we've lost a little bit of time while we've been rambling, which is a bit of a shame. But we're still in eyesight of Alonso, which is always good. We're 1.7 seconds away, which means we haven't lost anything since a few laps ago. So it seems that our pace is pretty much on board with those at the front of the field. But of course, if they've got an advantage, then we can't gain if we're setting the same lap time. So it's going to be a pit stop for us. Now, we haven't been into this pit lane for a long while, so we're going to have to actually get this right. It is Alonso who is coming into the pit lane off the Ferraris. Bit of a weird pit lane entry, but we're going to try and optimise that entry as much as possible, get a bit of speed, and then as you can see, we slow down for the pit stop. That's a bit of a compromise for the Red Bull, and the McLaren of Jenson Button is out ahead of the driver. It looks like Alonso's just about beat us there. That's a bit unfortunate. But to be honest, we expected Alonso to come out ahead. But now it is time for possibly the best outlap we've ever had to try and catch up to these leaders, because I think we have made some time on them. Oh, come on. I'm going to put this back just in the interest of fairness that, to be honest, we haven't exited this pit lane, so I didn't really know where the pit lane exit line is. So that's where the exit line is. Apologies for that. I wouldn't usually use a flashback, but I think it's justified in this case. It would be a drive-through penalty. I think that's a little bit unfair given the circumstances. So we do continue our race here. It seems we have gained not really much so on Alonso. However, we have gained on those who are ahead. I mean, Kimi just hasn't been in this race because he's nearly a pit stop behind us. We might well overtake him before he enters the pits, which is a bit of a frightening prospect. But really, coming out of the pits, we haven't really done much to gain on the drivers above. But as you can see, Mark Vettel, I don't think he's a driver. Sebastian Vettel has been compromised. Now Alonso's right on his back to put a bit of pressure on him. And this could be really exciting. Let's see if we can get within the podium places here. So we don't really want to get compromised ourselves. Just want to drive our own race. But if we can make gains here, then why not? But we can really stay with the same distance to Fernando Alonso. That seems to be the theme of this race. We're really setting good laps, but so are the guys above us. They're not fools. They're in good cars, and we've got good pace compared to them, but it's only good. It's not exemplar or anything like that. It's not fantastic. But we are keeping with those above, and I suppose that's a bit of progress for the team. Let's just see, and let's just stay with you folks till the end of the lap, just to see how this all plays out. Whether the undercut, the overcut works. I'm not really sure which strategy will work. I'm guessing it might well be the overcut because of how these guys have been a little bit blocked. But if Massa and Webber come out right with this battle, it could be a 6-way battle for the top, and we could be within a second of Fernando Alonso as well, because it could be DRS heaven up the back straight. But let's see where Massa and Webber come out. Let's have a look. Coming off the start-finish straight line now. Some of the guys who have not pitted coming into the pits now, so that will help us out massively. Where's Felipe Massa? There's Felipe Massa. Vettel coming out. Oh, look at this. It's Raikkonen who's going to mess this all up. Vettel's been took by Alonso, but look at this coming down the straight. This could be DRS heaven for us, just using our curves. If there wasn't a good time to do it, we've got to do it now. And we power past Vettel. We're going to power past Alonso. Poor Felipe Massa, the only one without DRS. We're going to have to brake a little bit early, mind, because we've been blocked off by Button, but we're trying to get into this corner without hitting anyone. Yeah, we've done that. We've got a good run on Jenson Button coming out of the corner. And from 6th place, just because of where everyone's coming out of the pits, we are now up, if we can hold this position, up to a podium position. Bear in mind, Kimi Raikkonen ahead has not pitted. Our teammate has not pitted. So our teammate has done a grand job for us there in opening the door and letting us through. Now the job is to see if we can catch up to Mark Webber and steal this Korean Grand Prix win in, I have to say, pretty exceptional circumstances. Kimi's not really been very graceful here, so sorry Kimi, we're just going to go up the inside. That really hasn't helped you, apologies, but he is definitely number 2 rider in this race, and he's going to come into the pits now. Very, very, very light pit stop, but the gap is 5 seconds to Webber. With some serious concentration, some good laps, we might be able to steal the win here, and this would be a fantastic Grand Prix. But finishing in second would be great anyway, but I need to talk myself out of that. We want to win this Grand Prix, so second is not enough. You are not going to believe that. You've just seen that happen. Oh, no way. We just hit Massa as well. We made a mistake going into that corner. Is it manageable? Is this damage... We don't really want to pit. But is this damage manageable? I can't believe we made that mistake. Ah, running solely in second. We were never going to win the race at the end of the day. Webber was pulling away, if anything. And now we've... well, not broken our front wing, luckily, but we've certainly done damage to it. We're no way going to be able to catch up to the cars ahead. However, taking a pit stop be a lot more costly, so that's really frustrating, but we're just going to have to try and pull off a really good defensive job starting on this straight. Here comes the Ferrari of Felipe Massa, and look in our rear view mirror, he comes up the inside, but we're not letting him get through, but that is really frustrating. Luckily, the damage is not worse. We tried to deter the damage by just trying to turn out of that, but unfortunately, the car just went straight into the spin, and alas, we did manage to spin it and put it in the wall. But luckily, we got out of it quite quickly. And I feel, I don't know why again, I might be wrong on this occasion, because I was right the first time, and I, 2 out of 2 might be a bit lucky, a double. It feels like it's going to rain again. It's going very gloomy. I know I said this at Japan, the weather isn't fantastic, it looks a little bit gloomy. And it might rain towards the end of the race, but that's not going to be our saving grace here. But I have to say, really, without being cocky and looking at it on the straight and narrow and looking in terms of the qualifying result, 4th place would be a really good result here. But a kick in the teeth not to get a podium. But, these things happen. We've managed to cut out the mistakes, really, since the start of the season. We made a lot of those at the start of the year. We managed to cut those out. But in this race, they have shone through again. But... we've got 3 laps to go. Can we defend 4th place? Well, here comes Vettel with DRS. He was really close. We're just going to try and use all of our curves, really, here. Unfortunately, we've sacrificed all of our curves just to try and keep position. The only thing we can do is late brake and hope we get into the corner. We don't want to knock Vettel off, but he's a lot further behind than I thought. But we are starting to hold a bit of a train here. We've got just over 2 laps. And to think we could have been sailing home in second, really. We didn't really need to push. We could have defended from Alonso a lot easier than this. Particularly with the fact we've got reduced downforce now. But that's happened, you can look in hindsight all the time. But that's happened now. Let's focus on staying on the track and staying in 4th and completing this Korean Grand Prix strongly. Here comes the dreaded DRS strike again. Vettel's tried to go down the wrong line and he's tried to go down the other. We blocked him off there, admittedly. And that's really set him off a little bit. Felipe Massa Now going for 5th place. He's not going to go up the inside of us though, bear in mind. And Kimi Raikkonen sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Where's Kimi? I mean, where is he? He's down in 15th place. Really not good enough. But Hamilton, I still can't believe he went out. And if we finish where we do, we'll be beating 2 of the big title challenges, of course, in Hamilton and Vettel, who seems to have dropped back because of what happened on that straight from pole all the way down to 7th. Not a great race for him, so I think we need to appreciate what we've got in our race from 10th to 4th. Here we are then on the final lap of the Korean Grand Prix. Not the most eventful race, I must admit. Really just a race where we've had to consolidate, particularly in these last few laps after that mistake, which put us into the wall, which probably wasn't the best way to categorise this Grand Prix. But nonetheless, we have done well out of it. We could have done a lot worse and had it to pit. And here comes Massa up the inside. We're going to use some of our curves and just bright lights than the Brazilian and try and keep 4th place, which I think we're going to do quite easily. And he doesn't go for the inside line, but not a great race for Sebastian Vettel. 7th place for him as it stands, and of course a DNF for Lewis Hamilton. But Jenson, Button and Alonso not really scoring maximum points. Funnily enough, Vettel's teammate Webber making sure they don't do that, preventing them from doing that. So how the championship tower will look will be interesting. Of course, we will extend our advantage against Felipe Massa by another 2 points, which is brilliant in our fight to try and get this Ferrari seat in inverted commas, because of course we won't be going for it, as I said earlier in the video, as we move to F1 2013 next season. But I think given the circumstances and how we qualify, we could have had more pace, but qualifying does definitely have a factor, and it's a definite factor in where you finish in the race. And to finish 4th out of where we finished, where we started, is a very good achievement, even though Kimi Raikkonen has just really had an off weekend. Hasn't helped the team constructor. And there's got to be a question about us being driver 1 for next year, surely, on the performances we've had since we have moved to the team. But Mark Webber wins the Korean Grand Prix. The Korean? I thought I was going to say, I don't know what I was going to say there. But Mark Webber wins the Korean Grand Prix. Alonso 2nd, Button 3rd. And we're going to come across the line to get our best result since Singapore. Not a podium, but a 4th place. And I think I will take that with open arms. Even though we could have finished 2nd, but we didn't. Is that the, there's one at the end plate just gone, I think, because of that damage we had. But as you can see, Kimi down in 14th place. Not great for him, but 12 points for us there. Paul di Resta in the bottom of the points, but the 3 Germans in 6th, 7th and 8th. The 2 Mercedes blocking the Red Bull of Vettel to only get 6 points. So that's a bit of a shock. Further down, as you can see, neither of the Sabres scoring points is going to help us out massively, and Hamilton, of course, with the DNF. So the championship table looks like this. Now, Hamilton, with that DNF, is pretty much out of the race with 4 races to go, I would say. Button, Alonso and Vettel are separated now by only 17 points. We, of course, are in 6th place in the championship. We've taken that now off Sergio Perez after that 12 points finish, and that is absolutely fantastic. And in the Constructors, we remain in 4th. So, a very good race, to be honest, in terms of the team. A pity that Kimi couldn't pick up any points, but we've reached our objective. I'm not being funny, but we're really the only ones that matter in this career mode, and we have proved once again that we can deliver for the Lotus team. So let's have a look if we've got any emails, and then we will call this to a close. So Jones thinking of next year, we've got some contract offers, it seems. For goodness sake, if it's for blooming HRT, again, I'm going to flip. And we're of course happy to beat our teammate, the legendary Kimi Raikkonen. And we have gone up to, I think, maybe level 8, and now we have 1 contract offer. Let's see who it's from. Right, so we've got some great news. We've received an offer to renew your contract. Booley, I think, has done an excellent job. And yes, we are going to accept that contract for next year. Just so that we make sure that we don't go anywhere, and confirm that in F1 2013 we will be racing with the Lotus team. And there we go, contract signing is delivered, and we will be driving for Lotus next year. But we're winning that battle against Kimi Raikkonen quite easily. A solid race once again, and tyre wear looks good. And next we go to the Buddha International Circuit, or just the Bud International Circuit, for the New Delhi Grand Prix of India. But thank you very much for watching, folks. That was part 16 of the Formula 1 2012 career mode. That stat on the right confirms what we are going to say at the start of the video. We are beating Massa by 3 races to 1. So even though we might have been going to Ferrari, us saying we're staying at Lotus means that's a binding contract, and we can't now move for 2013. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I've been THROWBACK Gaming. Make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed. But until the next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.